I'm Zach Parmenter. Now, having spent an entire career in the construction world, I can tell you that we are on a very special job site. This will be an incredible home when it is completely finished. And today I'm going to highlight some of the special things that go into making this home one of a kind. Now let's get started in this great room. This home is constructed by Custom Craft Carpentry, owned by Gary and Karen Tenfel. Custom Craft has been in business for over 41 years. Their team specializes in building ultra custom, incredible homes. This ceiling goes all the way up to 24 feet in the peak, up at the ridge. And we've got an incredible great room wall spanning 28 feet here. The amount of precision carpentry that's required on a home like this is astounding. There are laminated documents throughout the job site, multiple booklets, individually tabbed for different trades, also specified for different rooms. The engineered plans, those are all laminated as well. We've got varying sets of those. You see, we want to make sure that there's nobody guessing. We don't need any redo work or any sort of confusion as to what was supposed to be done. When you've got a job like this, a big part of the value is not only making it as good as possible, but also as stress-free as possible. Now, this lighting is done on a whole new level compared to a typical home. I mean, just think of a typical home. What would your general assumption be? The electrician is going to just put in a bunch of can lights and it's going to interrupt the ceiling. Most of this lighting is going to actually be indirect lighting. Less interruption, fewer distractions to the eye are valuable for the enjoyment of this space. This ceiling is going to be an incredible feature of the home, and routed inside of those timbers will be strips of lighting that will gently illuminate the space. That will be gorgeous. We've got a huge island here. I believe it's around 14 feet long, and there will be an incredible light fixture above it. With that in mind too, this is not a typical home with normal ceiling heights. So having all of that figured out ahead of time is very valuable. There's so many things that Gary does ahead of time so that you're never looking back someday saying, what did we do there? Or I wish we would have done something differently. So take a look at this. There is going to be already a hookup for a gas range, and then there's electrical run for that location as well. That way, whether the homeowner wants a dual fuel range or they simply want to switch their appliance down the road, they will have that flexibility and they won't have any doubt or limitation on what they choose to do. I just appreciate that foresight. Here we're spending just a little extra time to do it right before it becomes complicated someday down the road. It's valuable to work with a builder who has done homes of your same caliber in the past. You see, Gary has so much experience that he knows with a large 48-inch range like this, there is going to be quite the need for good ventilation in that range hood. But it gets more complicated than that. That also has a large impact on how the whole home breathes and performs. Gary and his HVAC subcontractors have the foresight to install makeup air. This will be located below the island, and when that range hood is running, this will be running as well. It's going to help the home feel a lot more comfortable rather than pulling drafts throughout the home. To really double down on the value of that, just imagine that fireplace is going. If this didn't exist and we turn on the range hood, it could be pulling a draft from the fireplace and actually pulling smoke out of the fireplace. That would be so counterproductive, and what a regret on a multi-million-dollar home to not have thought of doing something like this. So I think that this is a great value, and it's one of the reasons why we're here today. There are so many things that will eventually be covered up, and when you go and look at a finished home, you might think, well, that's gotta be an incredible home. But it really may or may not be, depending on who built it. That's why it's vital to make sure you're choosing the right builder when building your incredible home. The engineering done by the team at Custom Craft Carpentry is second to none. This home will stand the test of time, and that's so important when you look at a wall like this. Just imagine this large piece of glass. If it ever flexed in a big storm, boy, that would sure be compromising to the integrity of that window. That's why Gary's team has built this wall out of 2x8s and laminated veneer lumber. These LVLs are going to make sure that this wall stays rigid and strong. Also, take a look at the floor system. We have radiant in-floor heat, and it's covered with gypcrete as well. Gypcrete is a lightweight concrete, so the home is gonna feel solid. You're not gonna feel any bouncing throughout the home. It's gonna be a lot quieter, and it's also going to retain the thermal mass of that in-floor heat, making for a very warm environment. So you may not see the heat, but you certainly will feel it. I'm sure you've noticed the insulation on this home with closed cell foam on the walls and ceilings. We've got R21 on the walls, R40 on the ceilings. Now here is something that you may not have known. When you use a spray foam like this closed cell foam, it's actually gonna be twice as efficient as a fiberglass bat. A big part of that is because if there is any airflow through the space, it simply will not penetrate through this spray foam insulation, but it would with a fiberglass bat. Another great thing to point out, I already talked about how incredibly strong these walls are. Well, the spray foam makes them about 100 times stronger than they originally would have been without the spray foam. That is incredible. Insulation isn't always about the energy efficiency. It could also be about sound deadening. And I think that's so incredible. This home is going to have sound deadening fiberglass insulation to lower the decibels throughout the home. So we're gonna see that on all the bathroom walls and the bedroom walls as well. Now think about it. Everything is working in our favor because we already had this gypcrete on the floor. Think about how much noise travels through a floor system, through the vibration of the floor trusses. Now with this, all of this is interrupted by the sleepers within the floor system as well. So we're actually gonna have an incredibly quiet home, and then beyond that, there's even gonna be that insulation in those perimeter walls. The tubes for the in-floor heat are running between each of these sleepers. This is running the same direction, the sleepers are the same direction as the engineered floor trusses that are in the home. Now here is why that matters to you. Gary always likes to make sure that when the flooring is run for the customer, it allows them to pull their eye through toward that great feature wall, because now all this flooring will be run perpendicularly and they'll have a gorgeous wood floor running throughout this home. Let's head behind me where we have another very special space. While not nearly as large in volume as the one we were just in, it is certainly equally as beautiful. We have gorgeous inverted valleys up here coming to a gable in this specialized room. This will be a breakfast nook, a nice overflow space for the homeowners when they're enjoying their breakfast and coffee in the morning, or even if they're hosting a game night and they can overflow to the beautiful balcony with the view of the lake. Take a look at what's going on here. This is a high velocity HVAC system. You're gonna see this throughout the home. There is a lot of strategic planning. You don't just simply install a system like that. You wanna make sure that you're working with a subcontractor who is used to those systems, because you're not gonna find that in an ordinary home. And as it is with so many other things, there's a right way to do it and another way that could be improved upon. So with that in mind, Gary wants to make sure he's working with the best subcontractors on your job site. And these are oftentimes relationships that he's had for a very long time. So that's just something I want to highlight. Once again, another great value of being at this job site before the drywall starts to go in is we can see how some of this is being run. Now, these windows, they are so tall, aren't they? That's an 8-foot header height. We've got 8-foot doors in this home. Now, of course, that's not the finished door. You don't want this door getting dinged up whatsoever. Gary makes sure to spend the extra money and he says, I want to order cold doors. Those are basically temporary doors. They're going to be hung on the frame, on the jamb, and each of those doors will be replaced with the finished doors when the homeowners are ready to move in. So I'm eager to see what that door looks like. Another thing too is there's no step when you come into the home. Actually, in fact, aside from going downstairs, there are no steps on this home whatsoever. It's a zero barrier entry. Now yes, we can oftentimes think about accessibility if there was a wheelchair or a walker, but I really like to look at it from the perspective of making a home easier to live in. Okay, so it may be a little more complicated on the foundation work, and Gary's gonna make sure to work through with the team on that so that everything is poured correctly so that we can eliminate that step. and of course raise up the garage so there's no step in the garage either. And here's why it really matters. Yes, accessibility is important for extending your longevity of enjoying the home, as well as extending the invitation list of who can come over and enjoy it with you. Now, this is a really good layout on this home. We've got an attached garage on an angle, very good for the curb appeal. Let's take a quick look outside, and we're going to see the covered porch. This concrete out here, in fact, is heated as well. So that's great. We don't have to be concerned with snow removal. And it allows for us to maintain a non-slip condition even in the wintertime. The team at Custom Craft had mentioned that, hey, we're already putting glycol in the system for the garage. Let's run that out to this front covered porch as well and heat this surface. That way it's non-slip, you don't have to bring out a shovel. And another great benefit of removing the wood deck is that this space is actually able to extend out beyond the basement, and this is a whole new bonus room underneath this entire front covered porch. I think that is incredible. What we're gonna see on this home is this is gonna be wrapped with that authentic quarry stone veneer. We already have that on the column cap up here, and there's even a standoff base below these wood posts. If you think about it, you pay attention, this home is built with reduced maintenance in mind. I mean, wood can be incredibly maintenance intensive, so we gotta think about that. That's why there's gonna be stone here, not even a wood covered porch. And then you can see that we've got this diamond coat siding stacked right here. This will actually be the siding on the home. So the homeowners never need to think about the maintenance of restaining the wood or any pitching that may happen from the knots in the wood bleeding. I mean, this is really great. And here's why I think it matters. When you're building a home, you don't necessarily want to build a project for yourself in the long run. You want a home that's going to look good forever, not necessarily need constant maintenance and upkeep. The roof system above us, this is gorgeous. A standing seam metal roof. It really is going to be stunning. And let's start to take a walk around and see the back of the home. I love the aesthetic of a metal roof. Plus, it's maintenance free. Their snow guards are already installed to prevent those large sheets of ice and snow from falling off. The back side of this home faces south, which is a great opportunity for installing solar panels. They're located on the back of the home, where you're not gonna see it as you approach the home. So you still get that beautiful, curb-friendly, picturesque cabin aesthetic. And then on the back of the home, you're not even gonna see the panels. In fact, as the land grades down, you're gonna find yourself in a situation where you're not even gonna be able to see on top of the roof. So guests to the home will never even know that those solar panels are even there. You can already see what's about to happen here. There's going to be a pathway allowing easy access down to the lakeside with an ATV or even a vehicle. You see this big archway here. This will all be covered in stone. And even these big wood posts, those are actually treated posts because we don't want that wood to rot or to become a maintenance issue over time. And then in fact, this will be wrapped with stone. So this whole thing will look continuous all the way through. It will be impressive. Now, speaking of impressive, one of my favorite things that I saw when I was back here was the elimination of posts. I can attest that most homeowners do not want posts, especially when you've got a view like this. So oftentimes it's relatively contentious with a typical designer who's saying, you gotta have a post. That's why you need someone special like Gary. Gary was able to eliminate posts over here, and look how huge that span is. I mean, that is incredible. It is estate-like. You're able to enjoy this space and not have your view interrupted whatsoever. This will be so great for dining, hosting, and entertaining. And then above us, even though there's an open deck above, there is a drain system up here where it will collect water and then funnel it into the gutters and distribute the water away from the property. That way you're never in this space and you have wet furniture or any sort of rain dripping on you. So that'll be really great. And of course you can see these huge patio doors. There's just gonna be a wonderful invitation to use this space all year round. I'm gonna share with you the secret of how those posts got eliminated. Now, most designers don't necessarily want to get involved with this ahead of time because they don't know how to source the material. But Custom Craft, they sourced a big I-beam to span this entire space. And then it's wrapped in wood to create this arch so that it'll be faced with that authentic quarry stone. Now, while I oftentimes get excited thinking about how great a home will look, I also really can appreciate when eyesores are removed. And what I'm thinking about right now is the air conditioner, right? The gas meter. All of those services, I want to make sure that I don't see them as we're out here enjoying the space or as you pull up to the home. So follow me this way. I think you're going to think that this is pretty great strategic planning. Even if you think to yourself, today's air conditioners, they're not that loud. We have still the unsightliness of all these utilities feeding into the house. They're necessary, but it's not necessary that you always have to be looking at them. So that's what's so great about this. The incorporation of this hardscaping, and just imagine luscious plants bloomed up here. In fact, it will be a gorgeous accent to the home to have all this greenery. You're not even going to be seeing the generator, the air conditioner, the gas meter, or any of that. The split face stone has arrived to the job site. On a home like this, it only makes sense to use something that's authentic to the earth, right? Something that actually was pulled from the ground. So this was locally sourced here in Wisconsin from Kafka granite. I just absolutely love that. We're gonna see such a variety of colors. It's gonna come together very nicely on this home. I think that's what you need on a home of this caliber. I've been on job sites for 20 years, and what I can tell you is that this job site is unlike most. We've got multiple trailers here. So that one, we've got everything so nicely organized. And this over here is a lot of the home-specific materials. So whereas that is full of many tools, these are specific to the home, flashing, D-edge, fasteners, brackets. We even have the screens for the patio doors. All of this material these are special ordered items for that home. You gotta make sure that stuff doesn't get lost or go missing. And beyond that, it's easy for someone to be able to come and easily locate it. I mean, the amount of times I've been to a job site and I've seen boxes like this sitting outside, the cardboard's breaking down, materials go missing. It's unorganized. And that's what I really appreciate about what's being done here. Come on through this way. We've got storage cabinets, nice working surfaces. These are those floor plans I had mentioned earlier, where the plans are actually laminated. How great is that? Take a look at the organization here with this book, where we actually have the materials list and different sections highlighted. And this is where I think it just keeps getting better. This is Gary's office in here. He's got a heated office, got a sink, appliances. He's got 3 computer screens here. And it really makes a lot of sense because he could be putting together a bid, pulling up floor plans. He's got a standing desk that raises and lowers. And we even have more floor plans over here and extra storage with an access door on the side. So Gary said he's had this trailer for over 20 years and it has really come in handy. A big part of being successful is being prepared and organized. And with someone overseeing this job site who has that mindset, you can nearly be assured that your home is going to be making progress on a timely schedule. Before I ever see a set of floor plans or am described what kind of home Custom Craft Carpentry is going to be building, I know first of all that it's going to be a meticulously well-kept job site. It is so clean around here. Materials are organized. Everyone knows where everything is. Even take a look at subtle things like the grading of the land. We know that this build will extend throughout winter. There will be accumulations of snow and ice and melt. We don't have a muddy mess up here. Everything is grading away from the home and materials are able to be easily accessed. It is just so convenient to work a job site like this. Now, I've been on many job sites in my life, having built many homes, and I can tell you that nobody holds a job site to a higher standard than Custom Craft. While this home has maintenance free on the siding, there are wood trims and accents throughout the home. It has a very unique finish. This is oftentimes referred to a variation of hand hewn. It's more of a man-made hand hewn, certainly not the authentic traditional hand hewing. And this is achieved with a tree bark peeler chainsaw running at a low RPM. I think that's incredible, and here's why it's important for you to know that. You can actually simulate this texture, and it's so convenient at a job site where Gary and his team can then add that texture to varying components of the home. And if a customer wants this rustic finish, then certainly it's something that can be easily attained. Now, let's go take a look in the basement. While I think it is going to be best represented, of course, when we do that finished walkthrough tour, it's worth taking a glimpse and a look at it right now so you can see, boy, this is a part of how it all came to be. I have a great opportunity today when we're here at the job site. We've got Jeremy from Kettle Moraine Heating and Air Conditioning. Now, Jeremy, this is valuable to have you here because when I see what's going on in this mechanical room, I gotta admit, there's a lot that isn't typically done in an ordinary home. You guys really take it to a whole new level. Can you explain to me the systems that you've coordinated here at this job site?
Yeah, no, the team has done an amazing job. Our installers are top notch. You know, it's, you know, a real top down effect, like great leadership, great team. Our installers, you can see here on this wall, they're super passionate about it. Things line up, it's not a hurry, it's not a race. It's really, I mean, it came from the design. Having this come across the desk, it was exciting, like to see a good quality, greatly insulated home, you know, top-notch windows, just, you know, it allowed us to really be able to put our best foot forward, and it just marries with our team where they put their best work forward. So necessarily, I mean, I'm super proud of them. It looks great, and it's one day at a time here.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what you have. Now, there's a boiler behind me. And this looks like something that's supporting radiant in-floor heat, but can you dive deeper into that?
Yeah, sure. So what we have here is we have some Grundfos variable speed pumps. We have isolation pump flanges, which is really it should be a standard. You know, it makes things a lot easier down the road. This is a Caleffi hydraulic separator. What that does is it allows us to have a lot of very crucial and important parts in a very small area. We're taking up a lot of space here, but we also have to have space on the wall for another boiler that's going to be a twin to this one here.
Because this one's isolated to have glycol in it, and then that one will be for the residential hot water as well as the in-floor heat that doesn't.
Correct. Glycol. So we're, you know, again, with the design going forward, being this is going to be a legacy home, right? It's going to be for the owners as they happen to get older, into retirement age, mobility, access. We were allowed to design a snow melt system. So it provides great safety and peace of mind that they'll be able to drive their car right in. Anything that will freeze outside in the field is going to have glycol in it with the glycol feeder, and then they don't have to shovel snow. Good easy walking, front door, guests come over, perfect layout.
Wow, so you've got the glycol in that front covered porch.
Yes.
Also the garage.
Yes.
And then the apron or the approach.
Correct, correct. Driveway. Yeah, the approach, and then we actually put glycol in the lower garage here for their toys that come off of the lake.
Oh, sure, because that's a non-heated space.
Correct, correct. So us putting glycol in there, we don't have the worry of any freezing.
What a mistake I just made. I said it was a non-heated space because traditionally it would be, but thanks to you guys, it is heated.
Yeah, no, and just
so how great is that?
Just the opportunity to be able to do it and do it right, so it's most important. So yeah, no, we can turn any space that's not heated.
Yeah. Another thing that you guys are doing that I think really sets you apart, as well as the projects that Custom Craft Carpentry does, is the incorporation of the high velocity systems. Now, Jeremy, let me just tell you, when I came to this job site, I had mentioned to the homeowners, wow, I can't believe you have that. Because it's been, let's just say, oftentimes you don't see that. And usually it's on very expensive homes. And Gary said to me, well, yes, it is, but it's attainable for everyone. They just don't know it's an option. Can you talk to me about why you may want someone to consider giving a shot at installing a high velocity system in their home?
Yeah, sure. So I guess the awesome part about high velocity is just the overall efficiency. It's one of the most efficient evaporator coil systems and blowers that are available. what that allows us to do with a higher fan speed, it allows us to move more air through a bigger coil to remove more heat and humidity, provide better comfort and space, and then we just implement that with better indoor air quality regimens, better filtration. And this project here, believe it or not, we actually implemented our Lennox Elite heat pump, a variable capacity. So in the shoulder seasons, say they go on vacation for some time and they let the temperature die down a little bit in the house, they can call on that heat pump, start heating the air while the in-floor catches up, and just ensures that comfort for them for time to, going forward.
Yeah, well, that's incredible. Jeremy, it's just got to be so fulfilling for you when you know that this kind of system is available, to have projects like this where they're saying, hey, we want the best of the best. And it's great that they can call on Kettle Moraine Heating and Air Conditioning to install that. So
yeah, no, and like I said before, when Gary sent the plans over at Custom Craft Carpentry for me to be able to design this and, lay this house out, and, the homeowners to be accepting of great products, and then not only to be able to do that, but to know you have a team that can accomplish that goal is just as important. Yeah. So without the team of the installers, we wouldn't be here right now.
100%. And these homeowners are so special. I think that what is happening at this job site is going to result in an incredible home. We're going to be back for a finished home tour of this. So
It'd be
I'm eager
awesome
to see that.
Yeah.
But we wanted to make sure to get here when all of this was exposed,
yeah,
and we see stuff before the walls all get buttoned up.
Yeah. So. Yeah. No, great call.
So glad we ran into you today.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for being here.
I appreciate
Great work.
it. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Well, let's continue on with the rest of the tour. You had mentioned that there is another garage down here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go check that out.
Sure.
And now we have heat in there, and that's so great. That's what I love about this job site, actually. I appreciate how warm it is.
Yeah.
So you guys already have the in-floor heat running.
Yep,
yeah, that's pretty convenient.
Yep, we're on temp heat right now.
I think that if the trades had to be at other job sites, they're going to pick this one first on a cold winter day.
Happy workers make a better product.
You got it. All right, thanks,
thank
Jeremy.
you. Yep, have a good day.
Well, let's head on over here. We've got that extra subterranean garage just over there, so that's where we're going to have that in-floor heat with the glycol where it never freezes. Looking forward to showing you these bedrooms over here. When they're all finished, they'll be finished and decorated so uniquely. And I also appreciate that they have beautiful patio doors in there. So whoever's in that space can easily get outside toward the lake. Now we got to think about the lake and how we design a home around that. And that's why it's so important to work with Custom Craft, because they're going to make sure that your sill heights on the windows are low enough so that you can look down at the lake. Just imagine if those windows were at a certain height, a more typical height. It would actually obstruct your view when you're sitting down in the furniture. So we always need to be thinking about that. This wall is just temporarily existing. Gary's team had engineered this up to support the floor system temporarily while there is a big lift up there. That lift, you may have noticed it in the background, but boy, is that convenient at the job site here when you've got a lot of overhead work, those big timber trusses that'll be installed, installing the ceiling finish. So it's great to have that lift, but we never want to compromise what's going on in the floor system, which is why this is temporarily built and will be removed later on. Now here is one of my favorite things that's being done. I'd made reference to it when we were outside, but ordinarily the home would stop here. This is the perimeter of the home, the foundation wall, but we're able to go beyond that, and this entire space is below that front covered porch. How great is that? You've got concrete not only on all four walls, but of course the floor and the ceiling as well. Ultra secure, great. I've seen clients use that as a shooting range, a bunker, or just extra storage. What I really appreciate about these homeowners is they're always looking for an opportunity to do something a little bit more fun. So there'll be a real special door on here, wall sconces on each side of the door. Even underneath the stair, this is gonna be a fun kids play area, and they're gonna have lighting in there, great for kids to have their toys, read a book, just kind of have their own special space. In fact, the homeowners are going to do a lot of special lighting in here. This will be a really good entertaining space. Mimicking the first floor layout, we've got another fireplace down here. This one's got steel studs and cement board because it's a sealed door unit. And even if the homeowners don't want to use this for its high capacity, it does have the potential of being able to put out a tremendous amount of heat. But of course, just like so many things, sometimes it's just about the style and knowing that it's got the capability. It's like having a sports car, but of course most people are still going to go the speed limit. But this thing is incredible. Now what a great space. We can see all the natural light down here. Oftentimes people do hesitate that, hey, the basement, it's going to be an afterthought, a less desirable space. But here's what I love about the basement that was done down here. Once this space is finished off, it's just truly an extension of the rest of the home. We've got tall ceilings, extra large windows, really good natural light, and it's just a completely different experience. Because when you're down here, you can see more of the lake life that's happening near the ground, whereas when you're upstairs, it's really about taking in the lake at a distance and seeing the eagles fly above you. There's maintenance-free walking surfaces out on this primary deck. Of course, the concern for wood and the impact that that would have on enjoying your home in the long run if you had that upkeep. So with this, it is just absolutely wonderful. There's even a wood grain texture to make it slip resistant. Now, please stay tuned and join me in the future as we come back to this incredible job site. This is going to be an absolutely stunning and incredible home, and you do not want to miss it. If you are looking to build your ultra custom home, keep in mind that Custom Craft Carpentry does this all the time, but they do limit themselves to one home a year. A home like this needs constant attention and dedication, which is what you get with Custom Craft.